So the stream is on, is what I hear. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Peachy. I'm the administrative director of the Jazz in July Summer Music Programs at the UMass Fine Arts Center. We begin this broadcast by acknowledging that the University of Massachusetts Amherst stands on traditional Nonotuck land, and we recognize our neighboring indigenous nations, the Nipmuc and the Wampanoag to the east, the Mohegan and Pequot to the south, the Mohican to the west, and the Abenaki to the north. We further acknowledge, based on language courtesy of Groundwater Arts, that today's broadcast platform, YouTube, is headquartered in what is now called San Bruno, California, on the traditional lands of the Ohlone, Muwekma, and Ramaytush peoples. We acknowledge the lands YouTube resides on because the work we create together on a digital platform does not exist in an imaginary void, but is made possible because of physical land and the indigenous people who steward it. I'd like to welcome you to today's presentation, the alumni panel of Jazz in July alumni panel. Jazz in July now celebrating 40 years. This is our 40th year. In the last two, we have had to do it online. We've had really wonderful experiences with just 1 week at a time. But usually Jazz in July is a 2-week program in person on campus in July at UMass Amherst in the music department. It's a program presented by the UMass Amherst Fine Arts Center in conjunction with the College of Humanities and Fine Arts. Students come to campus and they work with each other. They work with incredible faculty from all over the place, not only local to the UMass Music Department faculty, but as well as other great musicians in the Pioneer Valley in Western Massachusetts, as well as from like New York and Boston and from all over the Northeast mainly. And students, historically for the last 40 years have come from not only locally, but all over the country. This program, when it was founded 40 years ago by Dr. Fred Tillis, Dr. Billy Taylor, and Max Roach, and over those 40 years has included just an enormous list of incredible jazz artists and educators, as well as, you can imagine, a huge list of alumni of whom we're so proud to be associated with. Have gone on to do incredible things, students this year, students last year, and for the last 40 years. I mean, it's a pretty enormous alumni network. So we're proud to be involved with that. So for our panel discussion today, I'd like to introduce our featured guests one at a time, starting with Mimi Jones, who attended Jazz in July in 1987 and 1988. So a little background on Mimi. For more than 2 decades, she's been on the scene. Bassist, vocalist, producer, label owner, and now filmmaker Mimi Jones has reigned supreme as a side woman to an impressive coterie of musicians and as a leader with 3 original recording projects on her own Hot Tone music label. The jazz world is happy that Mimi Jones is on the scene. Jones studied classically under the tutelage of Linda McKnight and simultaneously studied with the Jazzmobile School on Saturday mornings with bassist Lyle Atkinson. She also studied with jazz masters such as Barry Harris, Ron Carter, Milt Hinton, Dr. Billy Taylor, Yusef Lateef, Max Roach, Maria Schneider, and bassist Guillermo Edgel. As a jazz ambassador, Mimi toured Africa, Europe, Russia, China, South and Central America, and the Caribbean for the U.S. State Department. Her vast work as a sidewoman includes gigs with Kenny Barron, Liz Wright, Beyonce, Diane Reeves, Tia Fuller, Ingrid Jensen, Roy Hargrove, Dee Dee Bridgewater, Nona Hendricks, Mark Carey, Rachel Z, Sean Jones, Jason Moran, Ravi Coltrane, Ralph Peterson, and Terry Lynn Carrington's Grammy Award-winning Mosaic Project. She's launched her own label. She's been a side person. She's led bands, and she's done far more too. I'll let her tell you more about it, but I'd like to introduce to you Mimi Jones. Say hi.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Thank you, David.
Yeah, well, what an impressive list. Again, with these folks have just accomplished so much and have There's a lot to cover with them, but I'll do my best to hit some important highlights and move forward, though. Next, I'd like to introduce Moreau Sprague. Moreau attended back in 2000 and 2001. Currently based in Los Angeles, Moreau leads his own trio and quintet and is a member of the cooperative ensemble Holophoner and the Sprague, Jaffe, Ennis trio with Marty Jaffe and Jason Ennis. He's worked with many renowned artists, including Greg Osby, Ingrid Jensen, Jeff Parker, Joe LaBarbera, Steve Cardenas, Jerome Jennings, Ed Howard, Walter Smith III, Jerry Berganzi, Houston Person, and many others. He's an in-demand vocal accompanist, and since 2015 has been the pianist of choice for renowned vocalist Karen Allison, touring extensively with her throughout the U.S. and overseas. In addition to his work with Karen, Moreau has worked with vocalists Sarah Gazarek, Dominique Eade, Kristen Berardi, and Michael Mayo, among others. Moreau grew up right around here in a musical family in Western Massachusetts and began playing the piano and composing at age 13. In 2003, he moved to New York and attended the Manhattan School of Music, where he studied with Gary Dial, Jason Moran, and Chris Rosenberg, among others. Moreau graduated from MSM in 2008 after several years of freelance work on the East Coast, moved to Los Angeles in 2012 to attend the prestigious Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz Performance at UCLA, which is now the Herbie Hancock Institute. While at the Institute, he had the opportunity to study with many of the world's greatest improvising musicians, including Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Billy Childs, James Newton, and Hal Crook. Graduated from the Institute in 2014 and has since maintained a busy performance schedule. So, introducing to you, great master piano player, Moreau Sprague.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Dave. Dave and I have played quite a bit over the years too, which has been a great pleasure. And yeah, I'm from Western Mass and happy to be connected with Jazz in July. Thank you.
Awesome. Happy to see you, Moreau. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. My pleasure.
Next, I'd like to introduce Evan Sherman. Evan attended in 2009. Grew up in New Jersey, just across the river from NYC. Started on a drum set at age 5. Sherman's sense of groove, atmosphere, and impeccable timekeeping has led him to 4 continents, playing alongside such icons as Ron Carter, Cyrus Chestnut, Roy Hargrove, Branford Marsalis, Wynton Marsalis, and James Moody. Based in New York, he's a drummer for both the Jimmy Heath Big Band and Dizzy Gillespie All-Star Big Band, among others. In 2014, he founded the Evan Sherman Big Band, a 16-piece ensemble of New York's finest rising stars mixed with jazz veterans. Continuing to garner praise from audiences and critics alike, guests have included Jerry Dodgian, Roy Hargrove, Johnny O'Neill, Lou Soloff, and the band continues to appear at Jazz at Lincoln Center, the Rainbow Room, Ginny's Supper Club in Harlem, the Django in Tribeca, Midsummer Night's Swing, Lincoln Center, Carmore Jazz Festival, Steel Slacks, and the Perth International Arts Festival in Australia. In 2017, Sherman co-produced and performed a live trio recording with longtime friend and bandmate Emmett Cohen, flanked by the legendary bassist Ron Carter. The album continues to receive critical praise, citing Sherman as a beacon of taste, who, though in his mid-20s, plays here like an old master. In addition to performing, Evan loves to present clinics and workshops, educating people all over the world about jazz. He's honored to be the artistic director for the second year in a row at Jazz for Jennings, a charitable concert founded by the late ABC World News journalist Peter Jennings with jazz pioneer Max Roach. Introducing Evan Sherman. Say hi, Evan.
Hello. Very honored to be here. Good to see you again, Dave. Last time we saw each other, we were playing together at Jazz in July in 2009, right?
That's right. I remember that well, man. That's great. You brought in a Kenny Garrett tune.
I don't think I brought it in, but somebody brought it in.
You didn't bring that in? Oh, okay. Well, we had fun playing it.
We did. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Evan. Good to see you again. And introducing the next guest, Makai McRaven. Makai McRaven is a beat scientist. The cutting-edge drummer, producer, and sonic collagist is a multi-talented force whose inventive process and intuitive style of performance defy categorization. His breakthrough album, In the Moment, was released with International Anthem Recording Company in January of 2015, and quickly named Album of the Week on BBC Six Radio by influential DJ Giles Peterson. Born in Paris, France in 1983 to musician parents, Micaiah McCraven was exposed to broad ranges of influences from a young age, and then at age 3, moved out here. 1986, his family moved to Pioneer Valley, Western Massachusetts, a time and place that afforded him the mentorship of his parents' community of friends and collaborators, including jazz luminaries such as Marion Brown, Archie Shepp, and Yusuf Lateef. In high school, McCraven co-founded the Cold Duck Complex, a jazz hip-hop band that developed a strong following in the American Northeast. McCraven stayed close to home, studied at the UMass Amherst as part of the University Jazz Orchestra, earning various Downbeat Student Awards. In 2007, moved to Chicago, and I like this quote I especially connect with. He says, "People think music is just a gift and it's born out of nothing, that it's in your genes. No, musicians work hard. You practice for hours and hours and hours. And for me, with my parents being musicians, it wasn't that they genetically bestowed on me the gift of music, but that they were willing to let me put many, many hours of my life into it." On to many other acclaims and a great list of people with whom he has performed. 4 critically acclaimed album releases. I'd like to introduce to you Micaiah McCraven.
Hi, thank you for reading the bio from my website. And me and Dave also have gotten to play quite a bit at UMass as well as with Moreau, and have fond memories of being in the Pioneer Valley and playing music and being part of Jazz in July and everything. So I'm really thrilled to be here, and I thank you for inviting me, Dave.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. I'm so happy all you are here. And Camille, have you joined us?
Hi.
Hey, great. Great to see you, Camille. Let me introduce you as well, please. Joining us, the last person to mention here is Camille Thurman, who attended, in 2004. I remember that. Were there any other years that you were here, Camille?
I think that's probably it.
Just that one year in 2004. So as composer, multi-instrumentalist, vocalist, and unique interpreter of the jazz tradition, Camille is quickly becoming one of the standard bearers for the form, making a considerable and dynamic contribution to the legacy of jazz while paying tribute to his heroes. Fluid and powerful on the tenor saxophone, highly inventive as a vocalist, she also plays bass clarinet, flute, piccolo. Her rich saxophone sound has been compared to Joe Henderson and Dexter Gordon, while her vocal approach, including an impressive scatting ability, has been classified alongside those of Ella Fitzgerald and Betty Carter. In a few short years, Thurman has shared stages with such jazz and R&B luminaries as George Coleman, Roy Haynes, Diane Reeves, Wynton Marsalis, and the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, Kenny Barron, Buster Williams, Charles Tolliver, Jack DeJohnette, Dr. Lonnie Smith, Terry Lynn Carrington, John Hendricks, Harry Connick Jr., John Baptiste, Audra McDonald, Diana Krall, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Shaka Khan, Louis Hayes, Russell Malone, Nicholas Payton, Jackie Terrison, Janelle Monáe, Alicia Keys, Layla Hathaway, Jill Scott, and Erykah Badu, among others, obviously, because that's not already everybody, is it? Mm-hmm. Anyway, to go on, if there's anything I'm skipping over here, Camille, I want you to make sure to touch on it after, but say hi to everybody. Welcome to the panel, Camille.
Hi, everybody.
Great, thanks. I thought it would be great to lead off, if you could one at a time, maybe talk about some of your experiences while at Jazz in July. Moments that stand out, experiences that you had with other players who were there, experiences that you had performing, hands-on experiences that you had with faculty. Really just tell us about what your experiences were like while you were at the Jazz in July program. I'd like to start with you, Mimi, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, like definitely Jazz in July, because I think I was about 16, 17 when I came. And I had just switched on to bass, but I have been playing cello. Before that, I played a little guitar. So, and my teacher in high school, Justin DeChocho, he put me in a big band because he knew I read bass clef.
Mm.
And so I was reading all these bass lines, and my parents had kind of raised me. They forced me to listen to jazz. At that time, I wanted to just check out some hip hop and some R&B, some classic stuff. And they were like, "You gotta check out this jazz," and I'm like, "It's boring." But in high school, when I made that switch, I was like, this is so exciting, because if I mess up, everybody looks at me, So my mentors at the time, they hooked it up so I could go to summer camp. I was a little afraid, but when I got there, I mean, my instructors were just, I feel like I was really lucky because I got there when some of our elders were there, like Yusuf Latif,
Mm.
the great Max Roach, Ted Dunbar, if you guys know him on guitar. He was just so amazing and giving and just had like a plethora of information. Um, and, he never made me feel like, well, you're just a beginner. He knew how, all of the teachers knew how to kind of just meet you where you were
Mm.
and make it fun. And I think part of the reason I was there too, where I got the scholarship, is because Dr. Billy Taylor, he said, you got to get this girl in. And I was in his groups also, um, and then, so I was definitely in Yusuf Latif's group. And Yusuf to me was very focused and zen. And he didn't hesitate to tell you what you were doing wrong, but like in a very positive way. And I felt like that really helped me, because later on in life, I learned that you could. So I joined a few big bands later on in life, and they were hardcore, but I felt like the camp really embraced me, and I could tell they really wanted me to do this, and I felt really supported.
Mm.
So that kind of set the tone for like what was to come, and then something that happened. I remember a group that I saw, the Fort Apache uh, band, and that sold the deal. I was like, I want to play this music for the rest of my life. I want to do that right there.
Wow.
And Larry Willis was playing. He was with us at the time on piano, and I couldn't understand. Like, I was like, how is this guy like playing this music so well? He played the jazz. The jazz was swinging, and then the Latino stuff was just in point, and it was just like grooving, and everybody was into it. And then Max Roach asked me to join his group, which I was like, I don't understand what's happening. When you're young, it's just like it's a lot. You just and his daughter, Maxine, she was on, I believe, either viola or violin, and they embraced me. So it was just an amazing time. And a lot of my comrades at the time, which some I can't even remember names, but I would see them later, like Alex Harden, somebody, a great Barry player. We talk about it because I was just a kid, and kind of afraid to be away from home, but it definitely changed my life. So I really just want to say thank you, and that was the beginning, So.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thanks so much for sharing that, Mimi. Micaiah, you there, man? Do you
Yeah, I'm here.
remember? Do you remember now what years you were in the program?
Yeah, well, I think it was my freshman year at UMass, must have been 2003, in the summer of, and I kind of came in to kind of fill in some ensembles and play. And it was really special, in the end. I made some really great relationships. One, it was great to get to be there with Dr. Tillis and Dr. Billy Taylor, and get to, actually get to play with him, which is like, just like on my list of experiences, but I came in, and the year was Russell Gunn was there, and they did this ensemble where we were kind of doing kind of a lot of stuff that he would do, kind of crossing between jazz and some hip hop and different kind of grooves. And Christian Sands came in and was the piano player, and was quite young, if I remember. I think he must have been like 14 or something quite young, and was really great player. And we connected musically and as friends, and connected with that with him for years to come, and I feel like I always think back on experiences like that, as we were talking kind of before hand, and how they've influenced you or connect with you into your professional life. And I find that like a lot of the relationships that I've made, whether it was at Jazz in July or in the Pioneer Valley, have really been meaningful and important, and it's like great to see like Moreau here as well. And so like the community aspect was really, to me, was really special. And then, getting to work with all the instructors like Steve Johns, and it was really, really a great time, and the performances too. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Bakaya. Well, go on to Moreau. Yeah, since you just mentioned Moreau. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences when at Jazz in July?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was there. I was trying to remember. I know I was there 2001. I think I went for 2 years. I think the first year was probably 2000, although I was debating, like, was it 2002? But anyway, somewhere in there. And yeah, like Dave said, like I'm not from Amherst technically, but I grew up in a tiny town called Shutesbury, which is like 10 minutes from Amherst. So basically, my hometown. And yeah, I mean, from that standpoint, it was great just to be able to, attend this great jazz camp, just literally like in my backyard. And for me too, I started playing pretty late. Like I didn't really start playing music with any sort of seriousness until I was 13. And so that was 1998, I guess, was when I started playing. So when I was attending Jazz in July, I've been playing for about 3 years, I guess. And so it was like a really great early opportunity for me to, play in an ensemble. I remember that I brought in like a couple original pieces. And so that was like a really great kind of early opportunity to play some original music and just kind of like learn about that process of bringing in original music with people that you've just met, and sort of workshopping it and figuring out how to present it. And yeah, I just remember kind of the process of like developing the music in the ensembles and like kind of trying to put together like a nice little, mini set for the performance, and just kind of that learning was really valuable for me. And then, yeah, also just getting to meet Dr. Billy Taylor was really special, and kind of hear his wisdom over his long career. And, he was sharing stories about things he learned from Art Tatum and things like that. And, that was just like a really great, connection to the history of the music, which at that point, I was very new to. So it just kind of like gave me a little taste of this kind of wider world of music. And I think also helped me to start to go back and check out, more of the history, because I was just kind of getting into it. And yeah, I mean, I went to a few different jazz camps. All those experiences were valuable, and kind of like just a way to broaden, I guess, like the musicians I was meeting.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Network.
Yeah. Just kind of like, because I mean, the Pioneer Valley has its great scene, but also like just getting to meet people, coming in from other places, and just kind of like, and then the faculty concerts. I remember like that was my first exposure to hearing Sheila Jordan, who I love Sheila. And I mean, Sheila's amazing because she teaches at all these camps, So I think like,
Sure.
there's like the several camps that I've gone to, she's been at teaching. And, at some points in there, I got to play with her a little bit, and just kind of watch her work with students. And She's such an amazing presence. Yeah, I first encountered her at Jazz in July. And yeah, I mean, those were kind of the main things that jumped out. But yeah.
That's cool. You know, you mentioned about, I thought it was interesting. You're talking about, coming to Jazz in July when you've only been playing for a couple years, right? Still relatively new in the grand scheme to the instrument, but you're already bringing in original material. And you're like, but to talk about that process of going from, day one to day three is like your first gig, and like learning about how to put together material with other musicians in a very vacuumed sort of time experience, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just kind of this short time of like trying to make something that makes sense musically, and somehow, like, I guess, include everyone in the band's creative contribution in whatever way you can. Have it try to feel like everyone's really participating and is having their voice heard, whether or not they've brought in music, but trying to like create that environment, sort of a democratic environment, I guess. So yeah, valuable experience for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Moreau.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, Camille, I know it was a long time ago. Do you remember your experiences at Jazz in July?
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, while everybody's talking, I'm trying to remember. I'm like, man, I can't believe it's been that long. I believe I was actually there either 2002 or 3, because I remember I was about 15 or 16.
Oh, it was longer ago. Okay.
Yeah, and that was my first experience going to a camp that was away from home, because before that I went to USDAN. And how I learned about the camp was through one of my mentors, Dottie Taylor. And I was playing flute, and she was telling my mom, you gotta send Camille to this great camp. It's by Dr. Billy Taylor. He runs it. I know him personally. I went there. I think she's gonna have a great time. And for me, I was a kid from New York City. I hadn't really left New York City ever. So it was like, okay, where am I going again? Amherst, Massachusetts. Okay. And I remember when I got there, all I saw was just trees. And it just felt so good to kind of be outside of the city and just focus on the music. I was going to a performing arts high school, but this was a different experience. It kind of pulled me out of that city high energy environment and put me in a place where it was just like focus on just improvising, on being a better musician and learning. And it was a great experience. I have very fond memories of going to practice with a saxophonist by the name of Lena Block
Oh yeah.
at 12 at night, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, because I was so fascinated by seeing this lady playing the tenor sax, which I played, and she was so serious and so studious, and I admired her for that. So I would just hang out with her after camp was over, and I'd be in the practice room kind of like checking out what she's doing, and she would show me some stuff, and then I would try to figure it out, go to the other practice room, and then come back another 20, 30 minutes later and ask questions. And I remember her telling me about George Coleman and all the wonderful tenor players that I ended up loving and one day actually getting to meet. And of course, Dr. Billy Taylor, he was amazing. It's crazy because I think I was meant to end up at that camp, because I remember the year before we opened up for the NEA Jazz Masters, and it was with the Dr. Billy Taylor Trio. So seeing him again in this context within a camp environment, aside from the concert, was so cool, because we got to be able to ask questions and just hear him play and hear his stories. And I remember the forums we would have, I believe it was after lunch, and we would all sit in the big room and he would play with the trio and they would talk about the songs and the history. It was such a great experience. I mean, I even still have a relationship with my teacher that I had, Lenore Harper.
Oh
He
yeah.
was my biggest supporters at a very, very, very early age, when I didn't even know what I was doing. He was so helpful and loving at that time and encouraging to all of us students. So it was a great experience.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Camille. That's great. Yeah, and Lena Block, she was at UMass at the same time Micaiah and I were there too. So we played a lot back in the day. Man, this is great. And she's now, you guys playing in the city together at all?
I haven't played or seen with I haven't played with her or seen her in a while, but I see her online. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, you guys have to look each other up, man.
Yeah.
Great. Evan Sherman, man.
Hello. So I was 16 years old It was 2009. I wrote some things down. I remember being very hungry and wanting to have like a serious experience, you know, living the life of a professional musician. And this, looking back, it was a great experience. I don't know if it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks long. Do you remember, Dave?
2 weeks.
Right, 2 weeks. So I remember each week we had a different ensemble, and one of my most actually, I just ran into Chip Jackson on the street about a month ago. He didn't remember, he didn't remember. I was playing music on outside in New York, and he came up to us and said, "Hey, can I play a tune?" And he had his mask on, and so I didn't even know who he was. And he says, "I played with Elvin Jones for like 10 years." And I was like, "Is that you, Chip Jackson?" So we reminisced, and I still remember he introduced us to a few of Elvin's repertoire, this song called Keiko's Birthday March, and I still remember that, and that was a one of a kind experience to get to feel like you were close to Elvin Jones in that way. What else? Oh yes, the percussion ensemble was one of my most favorite memorable experiences, which Steve Johns was leading. And I guess that was kind of a continuation of Max Roach's, M boom or percussion ensemble. And I just remember it being a really nice, serious environment for me and other students to like transcribe Max Roach in the dorm or play jam sessions. And I remember the cafeteria was also very nice. I was very enticed by all the choices at that time. It was very fancy.
Cafeteria, sure, man. Great. So, maybe Evan, you could start, but I want to, kind of phase into the next. How programs like Jazz in July or similar, these summer programs, how they can affect the trajectory of your career, as a performer, as an educator, or like between connections you make, or anything you could say about that.
Well, the relationships that you make with the teachers and the students starts there. Like I'm sure all of us, we all still can draw a line to that experience, to those 2 weeks or whenever we were at the camp. Um, being in an ensemble, having to rehearse, having to learn new music. It's all just like it's like the introduction to living this life as a professional musician. So if it's a great opportunity, a great place to if whether you're really serious or if you're not sure, it's inviting. I would say that.
I would invite anybody else on the panel to jump in to comment. You think about how your experiences in these summer workshops can help kind of shape where you're headed.
Well, for me, it definitely. I actually had the opportunity of going 2 times, and the second time I became more confident. I mean, I still had a lot to learn, but I felt like I belonged somewhere. Prior to that, as a kid, kind of coming up in the South Bronx, not too many people were doing that, and also, playing music, and I'd walk with my instrument through the street and get laughed at a lot or pointed at. And then I kind of found like the clan. So I felt like Eureka, like this is where they all go. And like so many of you guys are saying like um I said like 100 times. I'm sorry.
I was counting. I got the ticker going.
Yeah, like there you go again. When you have time to like really focus and you get to go to the practice rooms and just find yourself or work it out with someone else that really really helps and sitting down to eat and talk about music and just at a young age kind of get into transcribing because everybody's doing it and have you checked this out. It just feels really really cool. And the other thing I was going to say is that you never know who's watching you because then from that camp, I'm not sure how I got to Skidmore. which was also kind of like out of the city. To me, it felt upstate. I don't know where I was, but Milton Hinton was there, and that opened up a whole other situation. And I met Lynn Seaton, Ron Carter, and it just became this whole, like, my life kind of took off. You know what I mean? And I just, I don't know. I'm just so grateful for that, because otherwise, I just felt like a kid that kind of was uncomfortable, like, I don't know why I like this, but I was able to find my clan. And and then from there, just the when people know you, and you're coming up, and then they see you trying to get into college, or like, because then people saw that, so then I had help getting into the college. And it takes a village. So I just, you know ever grateful of that start. And that was kind of the beginning for me. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Anybody else want to jump in on that, on thoughts about community?
Yeah,
Sure.
I could. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
You go. No, go ahead.
Camille, go ahead.
You got it.
Sure.
You got it.
Well, that was where I met the earliest, I guess you could say, teachers that were of the community. For me, it was Winard Harper, and I ended up having a relationship long after Jazz in July, which was beautiful, because that's how this music works. We all work together in a format like a community. And for me, he was like my elder who played with Billy. And even after Billy left, I was able to have opportunities to work with him. And then, of course, him tell me stories about Betty Carter and all the other great musicians that he worked with. So that when I was starting to develop and get to that stage of, okay, I'm starting to work with bands, or I'm starting to develop a band, what are those things that you recall experiencing with these greats? He was able to share those experiences with me, almost like a griot. So it was a great experience for that. And then, come to think of it, I remember a few musicians that I ended up meeting years later, either working with them or just crossing paths with each other, that came from that same camp. Sarah Charles, the Lucas brothers, and so many other great musicians. So even though at the time it might have seemed like we're just trying to deal with the music, it kind of set the bar for us to kind of get that head start to really know what it was like to really study the music and immerse ourselves in it, so that once we got to that point where we made a decision for ourselves to pursue this, we already knew what to expect, and already knew the people, and already understood what it took to really do it.
That's awesome. Winard, you mentioned, he's actually unable to join us today because he's playing Dr. Billy Taylor's Centennial. I'm not sure where it is, but he told me, he's like, oh, I can't make it on Friday. I got this thing. I think Chip's on it too. And anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool. But great. Thanks, Camille. Moreau, you had some comments?
Yeah, I was just kind of remembering, kind of on the subject of like a community of music, and kind of thinking about different things that happened to me, growing up in the Pioneer Valley, and kind of early musical experiences. And, just how sort of one thing leads to another. This is not Jazz in July specifically, but I remember that I was able to get into like, because my dad went to Amherst College, and he had a connection with Amherst College music department, and he kind of asked around for me, and I was able to like audit a class there, like a theory class, and then eventually like get into a combo at Amherst College, like right around the same time that I was, went to Jazz in July. And then through that, I met this singer. Her name is Emily Cardno. We started playing together. She was at Amherst, and then she ended up moving to New York and went to Manhattan School of Music. And we stayed in touch. And I would start to like, visit her there sometimes. And I was starting to think about, going to music school. I do think those, camps like Jazz in July, it's kind of like an early exposure to kind of like the music school environment, in a certain sense of having, community of peers, really focused on the music, getting to meet some of your heroes and mentors. And so, I started thinking about, where did I want to go to college? And, New York was kind of like obvious choice for many reasons, but, specifically it was like this personal connection. Like I had this friend who was going to Manhattan School, and then her brother, Elliot Cardno, you guys may know him. we ended up being roommates at Manhattan School, and it's kind of just like one thing sort of led to another. But it all kind of started just like, you know, these little connections in Western Mass where I grew up, and kind of getting that kind of just, you know, early start in the music community. I think, yeah, that was just the main thing. I was just kind of like remembering those days, and I guess how like fortunate I feel. My parents are musicians as well, and you know, similarly, they didn't like. It wasn't like they like taught me directly or sort of like made me take lessons, or the main thing was that they supported me, you know, to put the time into it that I wanted to put into it, and you know, supported me to do, you know, various music camps and whatever I did. So that's the main thing. It's like that's why I feel lucky to have parents like in the artistic music field. It's not because of like their direct, you know, instruction, but because of their support for me to pursue whatever opportunities. So anyway, that was just kind of.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, of course,
yeah.
you'd be grateful for that. That's incredible, man. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool. Micaiah, yeah, thoughts?
You're muted, man. Okay.
All right, start
Sorry.
over. Let's go back
Sorry.
to the anyway. Micaiah McRaven, everybody.
Well, I was going to say something a little bit of a different subject, but I think, you know, with camps like this and at a young age, I mean, I think it's just a really great opportunity to like be in a, like, say, combo environment, which is emulating the professional situation where often you are meeting people and having to come up with musicians the first time you can get to do this with instruction from such greats. I think that's a really great opportunity. And even when I was there, getting to kind of like meet some new musicians that were outside of, you know, the band I was in or the university I was already in the combos, but to go into a new combo and then get to be working on music and putting our ideas out there, and doing something together with instruction. I don't know. It was really cool, and I appreciate that. I think it's entry to, you know, what we do all the time now, you know, playing with different cats, and also just getting to work, trying to work as a band to put a concert on. I think it's just important. It's important to do. Sounds simple, but you know, every opportunity to play is a gift.
Well, no doubt. Absolutely. I'm with you, man. Now, I wonder if we could use this chance to pivot. Like, I wanted to point out something that I believe all the members of our panel attended when they were teenagers. Was anybody over 20 when they came? You know, Micaiah, you mentioned like starting college, but yeah, I mean, so here's something to think about with the community of Jazz in July that, you know, historically, especially at the beginning, it's been this multi-generational program, but it was a lot more adults were involved with it than younger people. And over the history of the program over the last 40 years, we've been be able to create a lot more access for younger students. And of course, this changes everything. You know, what else has changed in the last 40 years? You think about with how many music departments are available and how many other summer programs of similar models are available, you know, within closer proximity. And then also as working adults, how much less time folks often can have that can come to UMass for 2 weeks straight that they have to take off of work to be able to commit to time. And anyway, with a lot of that evolution, but just to say, you know, as we talk about our experiences coming at it from young people, don't forget, like, there's a lot of adults involved as well. And so how do you think, you know, coming at a program like Jazz in July as an adult, you can really take the most advantage of those opportunities? Micaiah, since we were talking, you want to continue?
Well, yes, absolutely. I would say that it's the same opportunity, right? It's that you get to play music with new peers, new people, with the tutelage of great artists there to kind of get you to kind of work through your ideas. And if, you know, I think it was great listening to Moreau talk about having an opportunity to bring original music and workshop this in a space where you have people with real experience, you know, there to help you do that while you're performing and creating bonds with peers and other people that might not be, you know, you're not from your own local scene or from your school or from your jam sessions, you know. And it's a great place to, to meet and have that kind of guidance.
Cool. Anybody else want to jump in from the panel on that?
Well, I know as an adult, it's like it's sometimes harder because you feel like it's difficult to, discipline yourself or but as now thinking like as an adult, I'm ready to go back to school for certain things because I can appreciate the time and what, if I went to a program now, I'd know exactly where I'm going to go and what I need to get out of this, and also because, a lot of times you have to pay for it, the value of it, it is like, okay, I'm gonna milk this. So I think it's great to also go as an adult, and not feel like, yeah, I'm too old to get this. It's like you're never too old for this. This music is timeless, and whether you're using it professionally or it just makes you feel good. It's just magic. So, and it's for everyone, every age. So, and I don't know, as a like I'm trying to learn drums. So I might need to, I might need to go and get, because that's going to make me a better educator and a better band leader. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Micaiah?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to play piano. What are you trying to do?
Exactly.
Or bass. Give me some lessons.
Yeah, exactly. We got to swap. Yes.
Cool. Any other, Moreau or Evan or Camille, anything else to say on that topic about education as an adult coming to these sort of situations?
I think it's a great opportunity for adults to be able to learn in this kind of environment because as an adult coming back and learning something that you might feel you might feel like you need to strengthen, there's a lot of anxiety that might come with that. And you need to be in a place where you can let your guard down and trust your teachers and trust and know that you're with people that are on the same mission and trying to do the same thing. So I think Jazz in July was great for that because many times the adults that I would meet, they were like, man, this is 2 weeks for me to do my passion that I've been wanting to do and that I love to do for all my life, but I have to raise a family, but I get to get away for 2 weeks and focus on what I really, really love. And it's crazy because as a teenager attending that program, we don't see it from that perspective. You just see it as, oh, mom and dad just kicking me out the house for 2 weeks.
So summer camp, yeah.
Right. Whereas for the adults, it's like, I get to do what I've been always wanting to do. And then to be able to have access to those people that you go and see perform and ask them questions, that's a lot. That's a great opportunity that I'm sure a lot of adults who would come as a later camper would really get to enjoy and benefit from.
I love that. I wish more adults were engaging in the music and not only as and the comment that Dave read from my bio when I said, it comes from hard work, not a gift. I feel just like often there are adult musicians that will just say, I have no talent or that, and to have a space for them to have the outlet, I think is really awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the beautiful things. Also, just like the intergenerational aspect, these camps, and also like some of the experience I've had teaching at some other, summer programs and getting to work with very wide range of ages and people coming from, different angles. And yeah, some people have approaching it as their beloved hobby that they don't have as much time for as they want, but they really treasure, getting to have like a week or two to work on music. And maybe getting to play with some like teenager that's more advanced with them and more advanced than them and being inspired, and everyone can kind of learn from each other in different ways. So it's great. Yeah.
Anything else on that, Evan?
I agree.
Very good, man. Just didn't want to leave you out.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, I've got a question from one of our Jazz in July participants. Tomas, I invite you to come in, turn your camera on, and unmute yourself and ask the question directly to the panel.
I'm not in a good spot for my camera, but I can ask it with audio.
Sounds good. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so my question was about now that y'all are professional musicians, you have established careers, very successful kind of in all areas. Are there still positions that you really want to get, dream gigs, or I don't know, like long-term career aspirations that you're still looking for? Or is it kind of just like most of y'all are happy where you are?
Never.
Never
Yeah,
happy?
man.
Is that it?
We're happy. I think we're all pretty
Yeah,
happy because the
yeah.
music, you know,
Sorry,
you can't
I didn't
help.
mean I didn't mean like that. But
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I speak for everybody. Once you get to one plateau, it's like, oh, there's more? Okay, let's go with that, you know, and there are those things like this life, it takes its own directions and things. You know, you can say, I want to do this by this time, but it might not be ready in the universe or whatever, however that works yet. And so there are plenty of things that, yeah, we still want to get done, and, you know, groups we want to form and people we want to play with, and, you know, situations that need to be created, but we need funding. And so we have to learn about that. But it just keeps going. So that, on that note, I could say I am never, ever bored. It's like, if anything, I'm just tired, but I'm like happy, but tired, you know. So.
And are we talking about growth in our careers, or are we talking about growth in our playing? You know,
Yeah, growth in careers. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, absolutely. I feel like, you know, there's so much space to always grow, and, you know, I'm not in any sort of position to retire. So, you know, yeah. And then musically, it's just like it's endless. So that's beautiful. It's endless growth. And
Yeah, and it's not obviously, I mean, it's not separate. Like you might have I have certain career goals that I can imagine, but for me to actually achieve them, like there's very specific development, like musically, that needs to happen. Like I have certain aspirations as a composer, to be able to write music in various contexts that I'm still like, learning a lot about. And so like as my process of learning and developing certain like skills as a composer, then the desire comes to share that. And it's like, how can I share that? And how can I kind of expand career wise for the purpose of just sharing the music that I've developed, So that's kind of like just sort of like the endless process of that. So yeah.
Well, I'll share that I was around Hank Jones and Jimmy Heath when they were like 90, 91, and they both said they're eternal students. And you just keep climbing, That's the beautiful thing about this music, is that you're never done.
All right, cool. If any other questions coming through from the students, please keep them coming in the chat. But go ahead, Micaiah. What's that?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I wonder this of you now, as all people who've come through these programs at younger ages, going on to have these really successful careers as performers and some in education. Are any of you doing anything with summer programs? Are any of you involved with any? Maybe you'd be looking to teach with Jazz in July and like put something back into it sometime. Or if you are currently involved in any projects that we should know about. Like Camille, I know that you're up at the Vermont Jazz Center, but do you also do any other summer workshops anywhere else?
Sure. I've been teaching at the Vermont Jazz Center for the last, I want to say, 3 years. And I also teach at Jazz House Kids. This summer I'll be teaching at their summer jazz program. I'm also involved with a program called the Lafayette Jazz Program, which is out in California. And this year I'm not doing it, unfortunately, but last year we did it virtually. And of course, I have a program that's not necessarily a summer program. It's more like a series that helps give mentorship and advice to young women musicians called the Haven Hang, which I connect women identifying musicians with younger women musicians just to hear our stories and hear how we figured it out as people, but also as musicians, and ask all those questions that you might not get to ask because you might not see another person like you around. So those are the things that I do.
Oh, mentorship. Yeah, beautiful.
Do you guys mind if I just jump in? I actually am at a summer camp and I have to go. Yeah, I'm doing Carnegie Hall has a program called NYO, and it's a youth. They do their youth orchestras, and 3 years ago they started up jazz component of it. Sean Jones is the director, and so yeah, I'm doing that for the summer, and Berkeley Summer School. So there's that too. But I would love to come back and share with you guys over at Jazz in July. I miss you guys, and I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah, well, love to have you come up and do the hang. Are you going to be able to come up? I know Luis is coming up on the 30th. Are you going to be able to come up and
July?
Yeah.
I didn't even know about it. So that tells me nothing.
I may have spoke too soon. I mean, I heard a rumor. I don't know. Never mind.
I'll ask him. I'll see what's going on. It's great to see you guys and hear your stories.
Yeah, Mimi.
That's great. Yeah,
Thank
Mimi
you.
Jones,
Have a
thanks so much for
rest of
joining
your
us.
summer.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Awesome. Cool. As is it Moreau and Makai and Evan, thoughts on summer programs? Are you involved with any?
Yeah, I've done some teaching at the Interplay Jazz Camp, which is up in like central Vermont. Yeah, it didn't happen the past couple of years, but yeah, that's been a great experience. I went there as a student also, as a teenager, same years as Jazz in July, more or less. And then ended up, getting on faculty, and also met some, musicians through there that I still play with. And so that's been a great experience. And then, different things off and on over the years, but that's been the main like summer program. But I'd be happy to do something at Jazz in July. It's in my hometown. So
awesome.
It'd be fun to, do something for sure.
Great.
I think I taught a workshop at that Interplay Jazz Camp, back before I even moved to Chicago. Or I don't know if I taught. I think I just played drums with whoever was teaching teaching it. But I mean, I'm not doing anything like that currently this summer. I would always be happy to stop in and do something at Jazz in July or anywhere. I mean, I love that, and be great to even just pop in. I'll actually be back in the Valley coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Nice. We got to get some chicken, man. Hang out.
Yeah, man. Let's you want to get some food?
Yes.
Go.
Yes. Come on. Bring your family. Bring your family. I'll cook for you.
Maybe if I find me a ride somewhere, we can play some notes.
Oh, all right now. Cool. Great.
Actually, I actually have to run. I'm like sitting outside of a rehearsal right now.
No, it's cool. I appreciate that. We're going to wrap it up right here anyway. So thank you, Makai McRaven, Camille Thurman Greed, Merle Sprague, Evan Sherman, Mimi Jones, who already bounced. Thank you for all the Jazz in July participants. Go ahead and, if you're comfortable, turn on your cameras and join the scene and give a wave goodbye. I want to thank Ayumi, Erica, and Christine, Texera, and everybody who's helped us with our tech over the course of the entire week. It's been a really beautiful experience getting to see everybody, getting to listen to people's music. Bob Ferrier's been here at every session all week, my man. Bob Ferrier's our guitar faculty. He hasn't missed a session all week. Appreciate you coming to everything, Bob. Anyway, Camille Moreau, Evan, Micaiah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's great to see you. Great to hear your stories. Weldon, Ayumi, Azel, Peggy, Colin, Tomas, anybody else, Sylvan and Erwin and Jeff Siegel and all the other folks who were involved with the week. Appreciate you. Take care of your best, and we're going to end the stream right here.
Thank you, David.
Bye, David.
Thank you.